Have you ever thought about Waluigi time? Because I sure have. Hello everybody, this is that Manga Dude, and welcome to another fabuloso episode of the FVI, also known as the First Volume Impressions, where I talk about the first volume of a series, and I tell you what I think about it. Review, basically. It's a review, but I've officially changed the kind of the style that I'm going for. I used to do just one volume per FVI, but I think that more people tend to enjoy when I talk about multiple first volume ones, and I tend to talk about ones that came out within the past month or the last month. So I have 5 volumes for you today. That's 5 whole volumes. That means 5 mid-sized reviews, and then I will rate them or rank them from my favorite to least favorite of the month. Please note that I cannot read everything. It's not physically possible for me to do that. So if there's a volume 1 that's missing, 1, it's probably because I didn't pick it up. 2, it's been like impossible to find in whatever bookstore, so I have been looking for it. Or 3, it just doesn't interest me. So yeah. So now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. Let's get started. Alright, so the first manga I'm going to be talking about today is brought to us from Stonebot Manga and Titan Comics. This one has been recently in the manga news or on the manga Twitter, talking a lot about its translation and its editing and stuff like that, so let's get right into it. This is Kamen Rider Kuga Volume 1. So, to give you some information, this is written by Toshiki Inoue. Art is by Hitotsu Yokoshima. Planning is by Shinichiro Shirakura. Translation is by Jonathan Clements. And lettering is by Jessica Burton. Alright, so let's jump into the characters. So, we have 2 characters here. This is Kaoru Ichiho. So, he's a no-nonsense cop who's on the case of a string of bizarre deaths that are happening around Tokyo. He's not really my favorite trope of character, but he's pretty okay. He's a pretty okay main character. I wish I liked him a little bit more. Not my favorite, just kind of average in my opinion. Like, there's nothing too bad about him, but he's not necessarily the most interesting character. And he is one of our main characters, and for better or for worse. And then we have a second character who's Yusuke Godai. So he's going to be our true main character, I guess. He's a happy-go-lucky character, travels the world, basically just looking for new things and trying to become friends with everybody. At least that's his, like, big thing. He's fun-loving, really cares about making people happy, and, like, I think I like him a little bit more than Ichiho, but I'm going to be completely honest, I don't really care for him either. He's that kind of trope where he's like, oh, everybody's great, you know, you just got to give everybody a chance. And it's like, it's fine. It's fine. The characters are fine. I don't find them to be too terrible, but I don't find them to be too interesting. So that's all I got to really say about the characters. Now, to go into the story. So the story follows the police force, which I was talking about. Kaoru Ichiho is on this case where the string of murders is happening across Tokyo, but they really can't solve it because it's kind of weird. People are basically turning to like goop, or like kind of like their bodies are being like sucked away, I guess. Almost like the Rapture in a way. It's a little bit wild, but we end up finding out that this murderer is some kind of like weird looking monster. One of them describes it as looking like an insect, and we get this character here on the front, Kamen Rider Kuga, or a Kamen Rider looking character who is helping to fight against these insectoid monsters. And yeah, it's cool. I think like the mystery is pretty interesting. I'm excited to see where this goes. But like I said, it's hampered by kind of not so interesting characters. And it gets a little bit fast-paced, and I got a little bit lost, I'm going to be completely honest, while reading this, in terms of, like, what was going on, but in terms of a first volume story, I think it was fine. You know, it gets the job done, and you know what's going to come next, so, yeah, it ends on a good spot for this first volume. Now, going into the art, so, what I will say about the art, I enjoyed it somewhat, but I also kind of didn't care for it. Like I mentioned with some of the other parts, like especially with the story too, the art doesn't help with this confusing kind of way of like moving forward, I guess. Like there are a lot of like weird panels in my opinion. The movement's kind of stilted. It doesn't flow too well between panels. So it's not my favorite. I do like the character designs a bit. I do like the monster designs as well as Kamen Rider's design, although Kamen Rider already has like a very, decided decided design, or like a design that everyone kind of already knows at this point. So they already have a lot to pull from, and yeah, for the most part it works. I do think some of the rendering gets a little bit weird. That's just my specific quip. I know some people really like that rendered style. It's not really my thing, but it does work in some situations, and I think the fights are also kind of interesting as well. But like I said, they do get a little confusing, where you can't really tell who is who in some of these fights. Maybe that's like the point, but yeah, it just didn't necessarily work for me. So overall, not my favorite first volume, and probably one of my least favorites that I've ever done for the FBI. I'm like struggling to suggest this to people because I think it's like worth taking a read just because it's really cool to see Kamen Rider stuff coming out in English. But yeah, just keep in mind that it's not necessarily the best story you could get in terms of Kamen Rider, at least from what I can tell. So yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Let's move on to the next volume. Okay, so the next volume I'm going to talk about was a highly anticipated shoujo release coming in from Yen Press, and that's going to be Honey Lemon Soda by Mayu Murata. So, to give you some information, this is created by, so written and art of the mangaka Mayu Murata, with translation by Amanda Haley and lettering by Chiho Christie. So, I am going to go straight out and say it. So there's two characters here. So we have ourselves Uka Ishimori and Kai Miura, and I love them. So let's start with Uka Ishimori. My god, I have a hard time reading some things, man. I write down some notes and I tend to ignore them, but I want to be as accurate as possible. So yeah, Uka Ishimori, she's like a typical quiet character, very much an introvert, and is really struggling with moving into high school because during junior high she was really made fun of a lot. She had the nickname Rocky because I think one of like the parts of her name means stone, so they called her Rocky because she's stone faced, doesn't say anything. It's really just kind of like a what you'd say is like a boring person or whatever, but it's mostly because she's introverted, very quiet, and has a hard time speaking up for herself and to speaking up to others. So yeah, I really liked her character, honestly. Like, I think it was written really well in terms of that kind of introverted character. It feels very accurate to how an introverted person would be, especially in high school where people tend to be kind of mean, and also in junior high where people also tend to be kind of mean. So yeah, I think she's done really well. Her reactions to a lot of the other characters is done also really well. And I like how her character grows even within the first volume. She like starts to do some cool stuff. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but that's all I'm going to say, that her character gets a lot better just within the first volume, and we love to see it. So, going into Kai Miura. So he's the male lead. He's basically the complete opposite. He's very popular, very cool, very hip and whatever. But he's also like unabashedly honest, which can get him into trouble because he'll just say what's on his mind. Say some very mean things to some people, which, I mean, they kind of deserve it. But yeah, overall, he's really cool too. I do like his character quite a bit. He is your typical, like, oh, just do this, blah, 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 like very much in your face. But I think it's done well enough. Like, I think we get to see more of his vulnerable side at different parts of this volume. So yeah, I like his character a lot. I like both of their characters. I like their dynamic a lot too. I think their friends are also really cool. I'm not going to really go into them too much, but I do think that the friends are also an extremely important part about why making these characters as entertaining and as interesting as they are is because they're surrounded by a very good supporting cast. So yeah, characters, great. Now, going into the story. Story's pretty simple. I already kind of talked about it while talking about the characters, but basically we have our main female lead who's now gone into high school. She's gone to a different high school because actually in the past, or I guess a couple months before high school starts, Miura sees her and tells her, hey, you should go to this school, basically. And she's like, wow, no one's ever told me, like, or no one's ever shown that they cared about me or had like any kind of attention towards me. So she decides to go to the school. She's considered very smart, so the school that she goes to is like kind of like a downgrade for her in some opinions to some people. So when she ends up going to the school, of course she sees Miura again, and then yeah, it's about her growing and trying to figure out love, and being a person, being a human, growing through high school, learning how to talk to people, and learning how to, just grow in general. And honestly, like, is it anything super crazy in terms of the story? No. I mean, you can get yourself a high school romance, a dime a dozen. However, for it to be done as well as it has been, especially for this first volume, is very rare. And I really, 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 really like this one. Honestly, like, so many really good parts, a lot of special parts between characters, a lot of really fun interactions, and it's just done and crafted very well. Mayu Murata, honestly, kudos to you. This is a great story. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the art, and the art is lovely. So a lot of really nice, like, facial expressions, a good mix between the comedic and the serious faces. I just really enjoy how it's all done. I think the paneling is done really well as well. I think the backgrounds are done really well, and something I don't typically talk about, but also, like, the chapters. The chapter pages are also done really well. I just think they're super cute, and they also have, like, a really nice sense of fashion to them, and really good examples of how to draw clothing, which I think is understated, especially in the manga community, because I think, like, clothing can be done, like, fine, but if it's done well, it can really bring out the art, and I think it's done extremely well in this series. So yeah. As you could tell, I really, really flippin' loved Honey Lemon Soda. I think it deserves all the praise it's been getting, and especially all the attention it's been getting as well. So, really excited to get the next volume. This is a must-read for me of January. Regardless if you like shoujo series or not, regardless if you like slice of life romance series or not, regardless if you like high school romance series, I would say give it a shot. If you don't like it, you can come back and be like, I didn't like it. And that's totally okay, because, at least you gave it a shot. But in my opinion, this is, a shoujo series and a slice of life romance series that is definitely worth picking up now. Series number 3, another really hyped up one. A lot of people were looking forward to this one, and I can't wait to get into it. This is another Yen Press. Yen Press has been killing it in January, so let's get right into it. This is Oshi no Ko by Aka Akasaka and Mango Yokoyari. For more information, you have Sarah Neufeld, who is doing the translation, and lettering is by Abigail Blackman. So, this has been a series that a lot of people have been really hyped up about. A lot of people who have been reading it either weekly or monthly. I don't know, actually. But I know a lot of people were saying this was like a super awesome release, and we're really excited for it. And I was too. And I honestly wasn't expecting it to be as big as it was. But yeah. So let's get right into it. Characters. We have 2 I'm going to talk about. So we have Godo, I think is how you say his name. He is a Objin, which is basically just like a doctor of some sort. I believe he's supposed to be like a female doctor, or like a female pregnancy doctor, if I remember correctly. But basically, he's a huge fan of this idol group, specifically Ai Hoshino, who is like the cute leader of the group. He's super into her. And he's kind of weird, honestly, but he's like your typical, just like goofy little doctor man. And I do enjoy him, and I think he's cool. But yeah, I think he gets better as the story goes on. But that will make more sense as I talk about the story. Please note there will probably be spoilers for this one, because it's kind of hard to not spoil it in order to talk about the story. But Ai Hoshino. She is an idol, and she's really cool, actually. Honestly, I think her character is probably one of the best written in the series, or at least in the first volume. She has a lot of burdens that she places upon herself. She holds a lot of, not grudges, but is very real, very down to earth. She really describes and explains what she's struggling with, what makes her life harder, and everything like that. So yeah, this is an interesting look into her character, and I think it's just done really well. She's written extremely real, I guess. probably the most accurate you're gonna get in terms of idol groups. Not your typical oh my gosh, look at the idols, they're just so cute and everything, but all of the work that goes into it, all of the secrets and the lies that you have to tell, and all this other stuff that requires them to be perfect for their fans. So I actually do enjoy the characters quite a bit. I think they're written very well. So let's talk about the story now. I'm going to put in a spoiler note here. There is going to be spoilers a bit for the story, so if you haven't read the first couple chapters of Oshi no Ko, I would say skip ahead probably a minute or 2. So, Ai Hoshino is our idol, and our Dr. Goru is a big fan of hers. And one day, he has her come into his doctor's office, and she is pregnant. with twins, and he's like, what the heck? So they have to basically keep this pregnancy a secret because, of course, she's an idol. So they make up some fake injury as to why she can't be like doing singing and stuff as she's preparing to have these twins. But we get to this part where right before her pregnancy, the doctor is actually murdered. Murdered by some dude who we don't know, just like some random dude who tricks him and kills him. And then, lo and behold, he wakes up in the body of one of the twins that Ai Hoshino gives birth to. So, the story is absolutely wild. It is absolutely crazy. Honestly, was not expecting that twist, to be completely honest. And a lot of the stuff that goes in, like, between the first chapter and then on towards the end of the first volume are all very interesting and really push how the characters are grown. You come to learn who the twin is later, or the other twin is later as well. And yeah, it's just a very bizarre, weird look, I guess, where these, like, the super fan, and you come to find out that the other twin is also a super fan of Ai Hoshino, and so it's really odd that, like, they're both super fans and now they're her children, and yeah, so the whole thing with the story is just absolutely out there, super ridiculous, super crazy, and, like, the end of the first volume is like, what the heck? I, like, legit was like, I'm pretty sure I was like, I said that vocally, and, like, whenever I do that, it usually means something actually ridiculous happened, and yeah, something actually ridiculous happened, and yeah, I think it was for the better, honestly. It was very surprising just how fast and how quick this first volume goes, and yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. But let's talk about the art now. So the art is actually really good. I do like it a lot. I think it's really smooth, and I think a lot of the characters are drawn extremely well. I like the very bizarre, like, stars in the eyes kind of thing. You see them a lot with a lot of the characters, and I don't know why Aka Akasaka does that, but honestly, like, I kind of enjoy it. I'm not a big fan of their other work either, which is a surprising thing, Kaguya-sama. I thought I didn't like the art very much, but I think it's been more refined over the years, and I think it's done a lot better in this series, so I might give a shot to Kaguya-sama, but yeah, the art is done really well here. The shading is done very well. Character designs are also very good across the board. And the children actually look like children. I find that to be very funny because a lot of mangaka actually don't draw children very well, in my opinion. A lot of them just draw like their adult characters, but plastered onto a child's body, which doesn't work for me. So I'm glad to see that there's, like, actually some children who look like children in this series. Really, I'm glad that that finally happened. But overall, yeah, Oshi no Ko is definitely worth a read. I think I could suggest it to just about anybody because it's like a mystery thriller, slice of life drama thing. It's a lot of genres put together into one. But I think it's definitely worth a look at. Even if you're not a big fan of any of those genres, I would say give it a shot just because it's so bonkers that it might just fall into your wheelhouse. Who knows? I guess we'll find out when you read it. Alrighty, let's talk about volume number 4. So, this comes in from Shonen Sunday or Viz Media's Shonen other line that's not Shonen Jump. And let's get right into it. That is Elk Elk Elk. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Elk. Story arts by Nanaki Nano. We have ourselves David Evelyn with the translation. We have Annalise Ace Kreisman for the touch-up art and lettering. Cam Lee, I believe, for the design. And Jack Carillo Concordia with the editing. So, this is a fantasy series. Something I don't typically touch. I think Frieren is really the only one where I would say is an actual full high fantasy series that I've been enjoying a lot. So I decided to take a chance on this because 1, the chicken on the front is super cute. 2, I wanted to try something new just to give it a shot because I like I said, I don't typically jump into high fantasy too much. So I wanted to see if I do enjoy the genre or not. And yeah, let's get right into the characters. So there's 2 characters. We have our main character, Helk, who is nowhere to be seen on the cover of the series, or of this first volume, which is hilarious, because you would think that the main character, or I guess the main character would be on the front, but he's not really the true main character, I would say. He is just the namesake of the series. Basically, he is this giant, huge, buff human guy. And when I mean like giant, huge, buff dude, I mean like he is giant, huge, buff dude, like absolutely gigantic. And he's he's just a very weird, very blockhead guy, super strong, super ridiculous. Doesn't have a lot going for him in terms of a character, but I think that's kind of the point of in this story, is that like he's supposed to be like kind of a mysterious character where he's just like this super buff dude joining this tournament, and that's all we could glean for now, and I kind of appreciate that. It's kind of funny, honestly. I think it works well within this story. And our true main character, the character that we get a lot of screen time with, is Vermilio the Red, who is on the cover and on the back cover. But basically, she is one of the elite demon lords, or something like that. One of the Empire's elite lords. I don't know what the difference between the demon lord and the elite lords. I will get into it when I talk about the story, but basically super hot-headed. She controls fire is like her ability. Super hot-headed, like I said, but she seems to be very smart, really cares about the people of the demon realm, and just overall she's just kind of a crazy character. I mean, she blows things up a lot, gets like really hot-headed, like I said, easily angered by very small things. So overall she's actually, I would say, a very interesting character. I kind of appreciate that we do have that kind of difference in the different characters we have here, because like Elk, like I said, is very just like straightforward, and it seems like Vermilio is a little bit more complex in terms of her character, and I'm excited to see where her character goes in the next volume as well. So let's get into that story. The story is very straightforward. Basically, the Demon Lord is killed by the humans, so they have to elect/find the next Demon Lord, and they hold a tournament where the top person, whoever gets to the top, becomes the next Demon Lord. And lo and behold, a human by the name of Elk shows up, and he's like, I want to join the tournament. And everyone's like, how can a human join a demon tournament? That doesn't make any sense. And supposedly his whole shtick is he hates humans too, which confuses everybody, including Vermilio, who is trying to rig this competition basically to get him out, because he seems very suspicious. Because why else would a human want to join a demon tournament to become the next Demon Lord? It's very bizarre, very weird. But overall, this first volume is great. It's really just like a tournament arc for like the first volume. And if you like your tournament arcs, it's a good first tournament arc. It's very funny. It's very goofy. The writing is done very well. It's a good mix of like action and comedy. I think it's like a nice mix of it. If you like One Punch Man, I would say this is like kind of up your alley as well, where it has a nice mix of that kind of stuff. But overall, yeah, I was laughing at various parts of the series, at least this first volume, and I did enjoy the story quite a bit. Now, talking about the art, so I'm like here nor there on it. I don't think it's anything super intense or crazy. It's drawn pretty well. The facial expressions are done pretty well. I like the effects a lot, quite a bit, honestly, and the perspective is done pretty well as well. I don't think the paneling is anything special per se, and I don't really think any of the character designs are either, but like I said, I don't know if those are necessarily the importance of the series. I think the series is more of like a satire on your typical like high fantasy series, and I kind of like it. I think the mix of the art being like pretty good across the board. There's a good understanding of humans and like how characters are drawn, and proportions done pretty well. So yeah, overall, Elk is good. Is it great? I'm neither here nor there on it. I think it's fine. I think it's enjoyable for what it is. If you like your high fantasy stuff, or if you just like a mix of a comedy action series, I would say this is right up your alley. Would I say this is highly suggestible for everyone? Probably not, but I did enjoy it enough that I'm definitely going to get the second volume. And last but not least for this video, we have one more manga to go. I have already put it into screen, and now I'm going to put it back into screen. This is Under Ninja by Kengo Hanazawa. This is an interesting series produced by Denpa. Let me give you some information. So, as I said, the mangaka, which is the artist and the writer, is Kengo Hanazawa. We have translation by Sheldon Zerka, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your last name. Proofreading by Patrick Sutton, and production is done by Nicole Docic and Anthony Quincenza. So, let's get into it. I'm only going to talk about one character in this series because I feel like there's a lot of supporting characters and one, I would say, antagonist in this series. But so I'm only going to talk about the protagonist. The protagonist here on the cover, Kurou Kumogakure. So he is a ninja, as the name suggests. but he's kind of a down on his luck. He kind of is a loser, really. Like, he's just like screwing around in his apartment or whatever, his rented room, kind of just shooting spitballs. Not a very lovable character at first, but yeah, as the story goes on, tend to like him a little bit more. He's still kind of just like a a deadbeat kind of loser kind of guy. So hopefully his character grows as we continue to read more. But yeah, definitely not a likable character, but I believe that's on purpose in order to push the story forward. So, story. There are ninjas in Japan. It is current times, at least from what I can tell. And yeah, this guy, Kumakakure, like I said, he gets assigned his first mission as a ninja, and he has to infiltrate a school. So yeah, it's a very weird, a very bizarre first volume. I would say very odd as we get to learn like this really weird, colorful cast of characters. The main villain is like this Russian dude who comes to Japan in order to become a ninja. Or at least, like, I don't know, he's like... Is he a weeb? Is he just a crazy guy? Who knows? But basically, this Russian dude comes to Japan. He's like, I want to become a ninja. And like finds this stupid thing where it tells him, oh, you need to cut people's schlongs off. And that's how you become a ninja. Or at least that's like supposedly. He basically misunderstands something. And then he's going around chopping people's schlongs off. And the ninjas are trying to figure out who's doing all this. So... It's totally off the wall, very bizarre, very bonkers. And this is another one of those really weird stories that I read under Ninja as well as Oshinoko, taking the tops for January for the most bizarre opening to a series ever, or at least for this January. But honestly, it's very enjoyable. I think it was still likable. The writing is hilarious. It's very adult comedy, I would say, so just keep that in mind. If you're younger, yeah, I would say... Tread with caution, because there is a lot of crazy stuff that happens. Alcohol is involved, and there's just a lot of just weird shots. But yeah, let's get into the art. I think the art is actually really good. I think Kengo Hanazawa really kills it. The movement is great. A lot of great perspective as well. A lot of interesting shots, I think, is important. A lot of really nice movement shots too. I think like there's a lot of these movement shots where like we have like the character moving across the frame or across the panel, and yeah, it's like really cool to see those kinds of things. I really like the facial expressions as well. They're very humanized. There isn't a lot of I would say like not tropey, but basically like overused or like used facial expressions. So a lot of it is like very human. At least in my opinion, it's very human in terms of for manga art. So yeah, if you like that realistic style art, this is a great one. Backgrounds are drawn really well as well. A lot of like just everything in general is drawn really well. You could tell that Hanazawa has a true understanding of human characters, backgrounds and environments, as well as like just props and other things. So yeah, it's really cool to see that. And honestly, this is a very cool read. I actually really did enjoy it a lot. I read it probably halfway through the month. So yeah, I would pick this up if you're into that kind of like more realistic art style. If you're more into like adult comedy stuff, and even some action, I would say as well. So yeah, this was a really fun release. I really enjoyed it. Alright, I've officially reviewed all 5 of these volumes, and now I'm going to actually talk about what I was supposed to talk about and I totally forgot, but I'm going to talk about the covers like I usually do. So, Elk has a really nice cover, in my opinion. It has like a really nice full drawing of Vermilio the Red. I really like the little garnish, or whatever you want to call it, like stuff on the top and the bottom. It looks really nice. The gold is a nice touch as well. And I kind of like this like weird marble effect that they have on both sides. I don't know. It's like kind of nice. And also, of course... the spine is cool. Oshinoko also has a really nice cover as well. I love like Ai Hoshino's colors that they use for her character. Just really nice across the board. And once again, another white spine, so it's not too crazy. And then the back is basically just the front, but smaller, so not too interesting on the back side, but still good. Honey Lemon Soda also has a really nice cover. I'm going to probably be saying these for all 5 because I do like actually all 5 of these covers. Honey Lemon Sodas, I like theirs a lot because it's like very colorful, but also very simple as well. I think the coloring for the characters is really nice, and I really like the font that they used for the title. And the little lemons are really nice as well. And then on the back, it just has like a bunch of little abstract shapes and stuff like that, as well as honey and some lemon. No soda, though. Unbelievable. I'm just kidding. The bubble's just supposed to be the soda. But yeah, just another really good one as well. And obviously another white spine. Kamen Rider Kuga has a pretty cool one. It has a really nice rendered version of Kamen Rider on the front. And I really like the font that they used for Kamen Rider Kuga to be written out. And as well as the spine, it's also looking pretty average, I would say. It's your typical. And then the back has a lot of drawings on it with that rendered style, like I said, that I didn't really care for. But I do like that they have the marbling that Elk has as well. But more obvious because it's on a black cover with white using as the pop out. So it's really nice. And Under Ninja is the most simple out of all of them. It's literally just green and black, but I think it illustrates what the story is about really well. So I actually really enjoy this cover a lot. And I like that the Under Ninja is going out of the cover, which I think is really neat. And then it shows up on the back like this. So yeah, it's really cool. Has a goofy little pose. You can see it. He's hidden behind the text. So it really illustrates what the series is going to be about, and I think that's awesome. And obviously, really nice spine because it's like green and black. So let's rank these series, or these volumes, by my favorite to least favorite. So I think it's pretty obvious that Kamen Rider Kuga is going to be my number 5. Like I said, it's probably the one I kind of like the least. Like, it was fine, but it's not my favorite. Up next, I'd probably put Helk. And not because Helk is bad, it's just because I think I like the other 3 a little bit more. Like I said, I don't really like high fantasy too much, so definitely it wasn't like per se biased, but it definitely wasn't hitting everything that I would want from a manga series. Up next, now this is the hard part because I've got Honey Lemon Soda, Oshinoko, and Under Ninja to choose from. So I think for top 3, I think I'm gonna go. 3 goes to Under Ninja, I think, actually. I think Under Ninja is very good, and it does a lot of stuff very well. But I'm also very excited for it. I think my only thing that I don't care for, like I said, is just the main character is very not likable, and I know that's on purpose, but yeah, it's like the only thing that's probably keeping it from the top 2. Now, I think Oshinoko I'm going to put at number 2 because I really liked it a lot. But I think I just liked Honey Lemon Soda just a little bit more. Like, I think Honey Lemon Soda was fantastic. It was a remarkable first volume, and it takes my January 2023 best manga in terms of the first volume, so, or at least that I read. So yeah, let me put these in order for you so you can look at them all in their glory. There is the 5 that I have decided to review for the FBI, and in order from my favorite to least favorite. Now, did you read any of these volumes? Please let me know in the comments below. Did you enjoy them? Did you dislike them? I would love to know because I'm always curious if people have been reading or keeping up with all these crazy releases because there are so many nowadays. But I do love to know, honestly, because, like, yeah, it's just fun to talk about manga with everybody, and it's been very enjoyable, especially recently. So thank you again for watching. You know what to do. You can like, you can comment, and you can subscribe. Really appreciate it when you do all that stuff. And if you decided to not do any of that stuff, yeah, you watched like 20-25 minutes of me talking and rambling about manga. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Well, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.